pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
Got it.
All right. Okay, first item is to hear and consider the minutes from the April 27th meeting. Did everyone get a chance to take a look at them? Any corrections, revisions? All right, hearing none, the minutes are accepted. Okay. And I assume there's no emails that were presented? Okay, on to new business. Anthony Capaldo, the request for a memorial bench installed at the corner of Beach Road and Bedford Beach Road in honor of Charlie. Yes, please. Sir, if you would, just tell us your name and your local address.
Sure, Anthony Capaldo, 330 South Benson Road. And
by the way, you can pretty much stop now, and I'll make a motion to approve them. We all know who Charlie is.
Sorry for your loss.
But please, if you're here.
Yeah, no, just thank you, thank everyone, thank the town, all of our neighbors and friends. It's as beautiful as it is terrible. Yeah, and the neighbors got together and wanted to do this for us, and we looked at spots, and I've met with Justin a few times, and we were deciding on one at the marina, and then I walked by this one on Monday, I guess it was. And I'm like, hey, how about this one? It looks like it could be up for replacement, and I think I lucked out. So, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. So, did anyone have questions, or we want to jump right in?
You're looking for a second?
I'm looking for a first.
Oh, for a first.
All right, so we have a motion. Second. Any further discussion amongst the commission? Anyone like to make a comment from the public? If not, back to us. All those. I'm sorry. Did you?
I approve. If I'm not sure what my role is.
No.
Yeah, you're the one that decides.
If you had a question, you can jump right in. So.
I'm with you.
All right. So all those in favor? Jamie? All those in favor? Okay. Unanimous. Okay.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Sorry for your loss, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, if I go?
Oh, yeah.
Good luck. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Okay. Next, Patty Bachiochi.
Not on the line and not here.
Okay. Well. I think we could just consider this without Patty being here. It's a pretty simple request. So, yes, everyone agree?
Yes.
So we have a motion from McKay to accept.
Second.
Chris, second. Any other comments, questions? All right. All those in favor? Pass. All right. So that was. Okay. And so what we're going to do, because for the most part these memorial benches are.
Erica's at something in.
What was that?
Okay.
The memorial benches are pretty much vetted by Anthony and Justin and everyone else before it comes here, and we've had a lot of them over the last couple of years. And I've said that a couple of times. It seems like that is our primary role here to improve memorial benches. So what we're going to do is, providing there's no major objections, we're going to just turn that over to the director, so he can make the decisions, and it doesn't have to come to us.
Yep.
All right.
Sounds like a good idea.
All right. Beautiful. Okay.
One quick question.
Sure.
Is there, and not that I think that the commission would not support whatever Anthony did, but would there ever be a reason to have set up a means of appeal? Like if they disagreed and they said, who do we go to next? Now, again, I think it's highly unlikely that
If
we wouldn't defer.
Anthony,
If they wanted
decide-
something that Anthony said, this is not workable, it needs to be here, not there, or
well,
anything.
then sure, they can appeal to us.
I just didn't know if you guys needed a mechanism for that.
Generally speaking, the conversation goes somewhat, they present it, does that make sense for us? Yes, it makes sense, okay, we move forward, yeah, they can appeal. But generally, it's been, yeah, we can't do it on the end of IDOC, but we can put it on wherever, or it's not going to work here. You know, we have not had that issue. But they could certainly appeal to the commissioners, the director.
At which point we look over at Anthony anyway. I totally get that. I was just wondering.
That's the whole vetting before it comes in.
It's very minimal, and I think we will get to a point, maybe not on our term, who knows if it's 20 years down the road, or 5 or 10, but like...
No more spots?
Yeah. There's no more spots.
Well, there's no more spots in certain locations.
Right.
Unless one event is falling apart, but I think we may be maxed out at the marina.
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah, so, and, you know, people love the marina, and they do requests, and, yeah, it's just not going to happen if there's no more spots, because you can't go bench to bench, and it's like, okay, no one can get to the boat.
So the next bench has to be part of the dock convention, right? You just have to extend it.
Okay, so next up, Spencer Wright, on behalf of Our Turn to Serve Club at Fairfield Ludlow High School, request to sponsor a volleyball tournament fundraiser to raise money and canned goods for veterans at Jennings Beach, June 10th,
It might be a
from
capital H.
3 to 7.
I would not. I don't know if this person is on for it. I'm looking for a Justin Spencer.
Spencer Wright.
Spencer Wright.
Is there a Spencer Wright or someone to speak to the volleyball tournament on the line?
No.
Who is?
This one is the bench.
Okay, that's already approved. No, there's nobody on for
No.
that.
Okay. Again, there's no disagreement. This is one that I would prefer to have a conversation with. You know, what's that? Okay. You know, particularly on the lacrosse side, they started the Sticks for Soldiers, which supports probably everyone's familiar with that Wounded Warrior Project. So this sounds a little like that, you know, kicking off, but the Sticks for Soldier does not return cash to the winning teams. And this is saying the volleyball tournament winners get 10% of the total money raised. And I want to dive into that a little bit more, because I'm not loving that, unless that's the value of the trophies or, you know, whatever. So I would say let's hold off on this until someone can present.
Yeah,
Everyone agrees?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Item D has been removed from consideration. No.
Can I still just add? I just want to
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
So 2 questions. Obviously, Sticks for Soldiers, I think everybody would be in agreement. This would probably be approval. What he brings up a good point. This was something that I was thinking of. You're dealing with minors, right? So 16, 15, 17, and then there's cash involved. Where's our purview on that, 1? And then 2, they want June 10th. Do we push this out to July? Something of that nature?
So number one, I don't think we get involved in the tournament as far as the money aspect of it. I think it's just more, is it feasible to host a tournament like this in our facility? And that would be my biggest concern, is this is the middle of beach season, even though it's on a Friday afternoon, how are they getting non-residents in? I mean, there's a slew of questions that I would have with this.
They said it's Ludlow and teachers. I mean, granted, you may have some teachers that live out of town.
Well, I also wanted
little nuances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask the question of if there's a max of 15, they expect 8 to 10, why not then, see if Ward or even prep,
So it's a specific club, though, I love that.
Yeah, but it's a fundraiser for, but these are all questions that we can ask.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, Miguel, you have a question?
Yeah, I was going to ask my question on volleyball. So the reason I asked a question about lease on the one that we're no longer talking about, I just want to raise this just so I'm understanding, I think, kind of the vetting process on this stuff as well as the expectations from this board on approval. I mean, I'm sure Fairfield PD is involved in this, but if for some reason, let's say that there is a major traffic issue associated with this stuff, like, does this thing get nixed regardless of our approval? Or I guess what I'm trying to understand is this board supposed to be worried about traffic and congestion and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think so. I think what we try to encourage all of these groups to do prior is to go through those other, if there's another board or commission involved, to get approval from them first. I'm thinking 5Ks, things of that nature that are large scale that you need a police presence for, or traffic control. And this kind of falls right into that. But they were working through Mark Barnhart in community economic development. They had already been in talks with the police department, but they're pulling it for the time being. So, but yeah, they should be talking to the police department first. If it involved fire, same thing.
Yeah. But to the question I asked you earlier,
Parking lot is ours.
Okay.
Yeah, I look at it, that one as it's adjacent to our park. Yes, parking. PD does enforce the 2-hour parking. They enforce 2-hour parking out here. Our parking lot, like Mohegan, is ours. The beaches are ours. I mean, we've got some parking lots, but there's some nuances with that one because there is employee parking in there for the downtown vendors, which goes through, I think, Mark. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I didn't love.
We don't have to worry about it now.
I didn't love that idea. As there's just not a lot of parking spots there, and that was taking up a bunch in the middle of the summer. But I'm glad it's not on the agenda. Anything else? We're gonna move on. All right. So we have the Conroys, Roberta Conroy of South Benson Marina appeal.
She's on the phone.
Yeah, I'm on the phone. I'm so sorry I'm not there in person. I was just very concerned about with COVID and everything. I just am appealing this. I guess I just completely missed the sign up for the vote, and I changed my email, and which is why I didn't get any of the reminders. So totally my error. But I'm just hoping that possibly I could get another slip, or have the same slip, or be put on the list for next year. Just was hoping not to lose it.
Okay. Ms. Conroy, Ms. Brian Monroe, I'm going to ask you the same questions that I ask everyone who comes in to with these kind of requests, the appeals.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been in the marina?
Probably maybe 5 or 6 years or something.
Okay. And how long were you on the waiting list before that?
Oh, like 8 years.
Okay. So you've been through the renewal process a number of times.
Yes.
And we have not altered the general timing of that.
No, totally my error.
The email address, the momconroy@aol.com, is correct?
Yeah, I have changed my email address so that my mistake that I didn't notify you, did not think of it. So that's not correct any longer.
Okay. I'll turn it over to you in 1 second. On March 23rd, I was told that you did confirm with the office that this was the correct email.
Well, I still have it. I can access it, but I did not give them. I had changed it to robertaconroy152@gmail.com, and I just check it every once in a while, the Mom Conroy. So I did say to him probably yes, that it's still in use, yes.
Okay. And these numbers here are difficult to read, but is 203-255-1414 still a good number?
That also is my home number, but it's, again, like with everyone, I don't really use that number very much. I use my cell phone as well. So. Okay,
and this is real hard to read, but is it 353, maybe 8903?
Oh, that's my cell number. That's my husband's office number, I think. 353. 5903 203 353. Is that the number you have?
That is your husband's office number?
That must be my husband's office number. 5903 is the last part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So generally, the information that we have is correct for the notifications, albeit they may be old and not checked often. So,
yeah.
Okay. All right, those are the only questions that I have. Chris?
Ms. Conroy.
Yes.
This is Chris McCoy. I have 2 questions for you, please. Did
Sure.
you check your spam box on the AOL at all? Did you happen to?
You know what? When they said that they had sent it, I did actually go back and look through, and I actually couldn't find it. I'm sure that you sent it, but for whatever reason, I couldn't find it in that AOL. I couldn't find it in trash or spam or couldn't find it anywhere. So I don't know. I have no idea what happened there. That's one of the reasons why I dropped that AOL account was I kept having things like this happen.
Got it.
So I'm sure you sent it, but I didn't seem to be there.
And may I ask you, 2021, do you recall when you signed
when I reapplied?
Yeah, I mean,
I probably did it. I mean, I think you usually do it in, like, we have to put it in by, like, February or March or something.
Yeah, most people do January, February.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you did it last year?
Yeah. I don't remember exactly, but whatever the time frame is.
That would help. You don't know?
I don't know off the top of my head. I'm going to guess it was probably sometime in February.
He is.
Yeah.
Justin?
I'm here.
Okay, Justin, do you remember in 2021, what date it was done?
Let me look it up really fast. I believe it was February 11th. I don't remember.
So
what
prior, there was no appeal.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That's all.
What's the size of the slip? 21?
It's a 20-foot boat. So it must be in, doesn't.
Are you saying what slip number? It's E11. Is that what you're asking?
Mm-hmm. The question was just what the size, and we have the application here, so.
A small slip.
Yes.
I had a quick question for you.
Yes.
Justin, can you tell me, at this late date, has anything happened with that slip? Has it been reassigned? Is it to be reassigned? And
it has been reassigned. So typically what I do, we have the deadline the third Wednesday in February. As soon as that passes, I start shuffling some slip holders around, and then my goal is to get new offers going out by early March. I think this year was like March. I can't remember if I made the March 1st goal or if it was a couple of days after I start sending out offers to folks on the various wait lists for the various sizes. As it just happened to turn out, I believe I assigned someone space E11. I think it was on the 22nd of March. Just happened to be somebody that came in with their application, and we assigned a new slip holder to that spot. The slip holder that's assigned to that spot currently does not have a boat, so I can shuffle folks around if a new slip holder comes in that has a boat that fits that particular space with a frog arm widths and whatnot, I would shuffle a person into that space and then shuffle the current slip holder into another placeholder slip, if you will.
So is there currently a wait list for this size slip?
There is. It's between 2 to 3 years currently.
Can I ask you a question? Do you have bigger slips available?
The medium-sized wait list is a 5 to 7 year wait list. It's really the most difficult one to judge the timing on it because of the number of spaces. And then the large slip wait list is a solid 11 to 12 years.
Oh, God. Okay.
Justin, can you help me understand? I just want to make sure I'm on the same page. So the slip that Mrs. Conroy had has been reassigned. So someone else is expecting to move into that slip even though they don't have a boat?
Correct. So under the new Parks and Rec rules, and they changed in September of 2015, when you come off of the wait list, you don't actually have to have a boat to have a space in the marina. You have a year to go purchase a boat. And so that individual has paid for a slip and has a slip assigned to them. It's just the technicality of if somebody else comes in with a boat that fits that particular space, I have the opportunity to shuffle that space around.
To accommodate both the Conroy boat and let's say the new slip had a boat?
No, I'm saying if another slip holder that came off of the wait list came in with a boat that actually fit that slip, I would move the individual that is currently assigned E11 I would switch them to a different space slip that is available.
Okay.
Maybe part of understanding this. So if the person who owns the 11 now and paid for it gets a boat tomorrow, they're expecting to put the boat in that slip. If for
Correct.
this commission decides to give Mrs. Conroy back her slip, then that the person who paid for the slip doesn't have a slip.
I have offers currently out still, so
There's slips available.
So Justin, I'm just going to jump in here. It's Anthony.
Yeah.
So he might have 10 slips available right now, so he's got 10 offers out there. Of those 10 people, 6 of them are going to take the slips, which means once he hears back from the other 4 or the deadline passes, he'll then offer up those available spaces to the next 4 people on the wait list. And eventually, he'll get to a point in the summer where he's going to say, okay, we don't prorate anymore, so we're not even going to try to fill that slip. Normally, he's able to fill, I would say, 98% of the slips.
Okay.
But it's this process. So
The new person or the Conroys would be in E11, and whoever's not in E11,
There would be enough space, right?
It can accommodate everyone who's paid for a slip, but the bottom line would be somebody wouldn't come off the wait list that one person might want to. So you'd leave somebody on the wait list that otherwise would be offered.
That is correct.
Okay.
One last question. I guess it's for Mrs. Conroy. Can you just why are you coming in so late? This appeal.
Why am I appealing it so late? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, we've considered is this our 3rd or 4th? And every 3rd, and the previous ones were
they were on the agenda last month.
Oh, they were.
Yeah, they were. I was on the agenda last month, but unfortunately we had something come up, and I could not get there. And then this was the second opportunity.
Okay.
Okay. So at this point, it's we going to either make a motion to accept this, or hearing no motion, the request is denied.
Can I make a motion with a stipulation? I mean, I'd like to make a motion to approve the appeal as long as there's enough space for, as we talked about, for Mrs. Conroy and then the person that was supposed to fill in that slip.
We know that.
We know for sure that's going to happen?
We know that. So can we?
Wait, we know what? Say that again.
We know that there's at least two E11 and there's at least one additional slip available. So whomever was assigned E11, if they're the ones that are going to be moved, there is a slip. They won't get kicked back to the wait list.
So it really affects person number 11 on the
Correct.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to grant the appeal.
Second.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
I don't know if you have to amend the motion. Is it possible to make the motion to accept the appeal, but the acceptance is in the form of being put as the first person on the waiting list? So the point being, those 10 people who have offers, they're not getting bumped because of this. Because if there are 10 spots, and I know you say 6 will take it, but if 10 take it.
Justin, to Jen's point here, what's the deadline for those 10 offers? Do they all have the same deadline?
I'm looking at my notes here really fast.
I might have made that 10 up, so I apologize.
Yeah, you did make that number up, but it's close. I think it's 12 or 14, and I'm 98% certain it's next Friday. I know I have large deadline next Friday and medium deadline this coming Friday. So, and small and larger are at the same time. So it would be next Friday. I would know that people are accepting the round of offers that I just sent out.
Thank you. So next Friday, we would know for sure. So
I guess to me, if there are, I'm going to keep saying, we'll say 12.
Right.
If there are 12 spots and 12 offers has gone out, that shouldn't be rescinded to 12 people who've gotten an offer.
I agree. And you're saying the Conroys would move to the first wait list spot.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
So I would put a deadline, on when they apply and all the paperwork is in. I wouldn't make it contingent on
which I think we have already.
Yeah.
Right. I think we have that in place. If you were to grant their request to be admitted back in, I think they have X amount of days to submit all the paperwork.
Right.
And
payment, and there's penalties, late penalties, and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Point of order. I think let's just get clear on where we are. I think we have a motion that's.
We have a motion and a second. That's where we are.
And then I think.
And we have a discussion. No, because we have to withdraw these motions.
No, because you can amend the motion.
Well, if there's
you can do it.
Proposed.
Yeah, and you could do a friendly amendment if you wanted, if you were amenable to it. But we've done plenty of those in the Board of Ed.
Or would it be easier for me to just withdraw it?
If you want to entertain Jen's conversation, but that's why this is the discussion part. So,
Right.
Yeah, all kosher so far.
Yeah, but right now, we only have a motion and a second on accepting. If we want to, I would think it'd be just cleaner if Bill and Dylan are willing to withdraw and restate.
Yeah, I'd be willing to do that. I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay.
Before
you were first.
Can I be here for amendment? Jen, please?
Oh.
What do we have on?
Okay, now there's nothing on the table, we're just discussing.
Okay, so it's discussion. All right, have we ever done anything like this?
No.
No, we have.
Well, because we haven't been in a situation where the slip was reassigned, right?
We've been in these situations.
I think you're getting a little bit too caught up with the slip being reassigned, because Justin, the slips moves, and the new person can easily be told, okay, you're not going to be in E11, you're going to be in E15 or D12.
And I think
the new person is not
Well, I don't care about E11 either. I'm just saying there was a space that the Conroys had, right? It might get shuffled around. When they didn't submit and then they appealed, Justin put someone in there. So that space is taken, and I know that there are 10 or 12 others. They can shuffle it around and get
I understand, but I'm saying...
Justin's professional, though. He's hired to do a job better than any of us on his commission can do.
And
so I
Justin,
think we trust in him.
Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we go through with this, whomever it is that you assign to E11, you could easily assign elsewhere?
That is correct.
Okay, Jim.
I mean, it sounds like it can be accommodated, but again, the bottom line is somebody who's been waiting for years doesn't come off the list. So that's one impact. And I think the other thing for the commission is just how late into the season do we even entertain these?
Mm-hmm.
It's the end of May.
Exactly. I mean, we get to that point.
You can
somebody, no matter what, loses in this situation.
Yeah.
There are no winners. Somebody loses,
but they don't know. They'll never know.
Right. Well, but they're stuck another year.
Yeah. And you know, we went through. Conroys have been through the process. If they've been in the marina 5 or 6 years, they've been through the renewal process 4 or 5 times. After waiting for 8 years, if information is correct, we have been through this. I don't know how many times, but we have reevaluated the rules, and we have, attempted over the last probably 8 years to minimize the number of occurrences. 1 year we had 50. I mean, it was
my first year. We had 40.
We had a whole subcommittee.
We're down to 3.
Had to go to
we're down to 3.
We had to move the meeting. We had to move the meeting because there were so many people. And at some point, the rules are the rules. There were 3 emails. There were 2 calls. There was a voicemail left on the home number. At some point, it just there's lots of things that in our lives that have deadlines. Mm-hmm. If you don't get your train pass in on time, you don't get a parking spot. Mm-hmm. If there's a deadline for an investment, IPO, you don't get your application in, you don't get it. Mm-hmm. So there's whatever you guys want to consider, we will consider it. I don't think I'm going to be supporting it.
Mm-hmm. I won't be supporting it either.
2 points. How many of the 12 are out there renewed already? Do you know, Justin?
These are new.
Right. Well, they're right. So they've been set out, but I mean, they have a deadline of next week.
Yeah. They have a deadline, and I think I have 7 have accepted it, 5 have not. I can tell you, historically speaking, in the small slips the last 2 years, I have had a higher acceptance rate than what I had earlier, and I don't know if that's COVID related, if that's the newer rule that's related or what, but more people are accepting offers in the small slips right now. I'm running about I would say a 75 to 80% acceptance rate when I send out offers. It feels like, versus on maybe the large offer rate, I'm only getting a 30 to 40% offer rate. Then there's a variety of factors that can cause that, but I'm definitely getting a higher acceptance rate of offers right now. And some people will wait till 3:45 on Friday before Memorial Day to come in with their paperwork to get their spot.
So, Justin, point of clarification. Of the 12, 7 have accepted, and the 5, you said, did not accept, but you have not heard from them yet. Is that correct?
Correct. Correct. I haven't received paperwork and whatnot. That's correct.
Okay, but none of the 12 have contacted you and said thanks, but no thanks.
That is correct.
Close enough. My other question, Justin, beyond the 12, how many dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens are on the wait list?
Right now, bear with me. I'm trying to see if I can pull it up. I would say we're at like 100 and...
Thank you.
Just a quick guess. I think we're at 175.
Perfect. All right. Thanks.
Another question, I guess. I'm looking here at the, if they lose the slip, what do they do with their boat? So if they go back to the back of the line, now they're stuck with a boat with nowhere to put it. So I'm, looking at that aspect from saying, you have something, how are you going to use it? So, maybe going back to the front, maybe the front of the waiting list, which sounds like there's an opportunity that may have, with 5 people, one may not, they could still get in, but I'm just thinking, like, what do you do with a boat?
Well, what do you do about the 175 people that are on the wait list?
Well, they might not have a boat yet.
There are options. Yeah. There's private marinas. It could be trailers. I mean, it's a 20-foot boat. It could be trailers. I mean, but that's not hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to interject, I actually just looked up at my wait list. I'm at 150 on the small slips.
Thank you, Justin.
What's the average wait for those 150, give or take? 2 to 3 years? Okay.
2 to 3 years. Again, the turnover rate's been consistent, but recently the acceptance rate has been higher. So those on the wait list the wait list is starting to stretch out and go a little bit longer.
Okay, so technically the Conroys could get back in line and get a slip in a couple of years, give or take?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to make a motion to approve Mrs. Conroy's appeal, but if the remaining slips, or the slips that are available with the emails that have gone out, all come back saying that they want it, and there's no space for Mrs. Conroy, then she goes to the waiting list.
You mean the very end of the waiting list?
Yes.
Just let Kelly catch up. Okay. Could you read it back?
Approve Mr. Conway's appeal, but if the remaining slips all come back accepting, then Mrs. Conway would go to the very end of the waiting list.
Let's just be more specific. Identifying the 12 offers for the small slips.
Okay. So, yes, that's what I meant. I wasn't sure what the number was, but yeah, I meant 12 offers.
Yeah, but we just want to be as specific here as possible.
Yeah. What I'm trying to avoid is that all 12 accept, and then, I don't want to have to go to them and say, hey, I know you accepted, but sorry, I got to go back on the waiting list.
Okay, one more time, Kelly?
Okay, approve Mrs. Conway's appeal, but if the remaining 12 offers come back accepting, then she would have to go to the very end of the waiting list.
I'm not comfortable with that. It's either up and down on the appeal and then let, the commission's rules kick in.
So, question to the second.
I'll second.
Okay, third section, now we're going to discuss. And
I just discussed.
I know. But we can have a second. Okay. Any other thoughts, comments?
So I know we've discussed this. Let's just put it all in perspective one more time. There's 12 slips available.
There's 5 of the 12 offers still available.
Right. So there's 12 that are open. 5 have accepted.
No, 7 have accepted.
7 have accepted. All right. So
Net negative.
right. So right. But what I'm saying is, but then Justin, for those, let's just assume the outstanding do not accept, you then go to the next, 5 in line, I guess it is, whatever the math is on that.
Okay, so let's just clarify. There's 12 offers were issued in the beginning of March with a deadline of next week. 7 of the 12 available slips have now been spoken for. So we have not heard from the other 5.
Correct.
Typically, what would happen is if one of the 5 contacted Justin and said, I'm not interested this year, Justin would go to the next one on the wait list. But per the motion on the table, he would not, one would go to the Conroys.
Correct.
So providing that all 5 of the outstanding offers do not come back accepting, and this motion is approved, the Conroys would have a split.
Correct.
If all 5 come back, then the Conroys are on the waiting list. If they choose to go back on the waiting list.
So to your point earlier about nobody wins, the loser here is and I hate to use that word, but is the next person on the waiting list.
Correct.
Who doesn't know that a slip is available.
But I guess my point is, why 13? Why not 15? Why not 18?
Because there's 12 offers.
Right.
But the numbers are, but
it's not arbitrary because there was 12 slips that Justin was trying to fill.
Right, but there's not just 12 people waiting in line for a slip, and if those 12 slips are not full, somebody else is going to come in and fill them, correct?
Yes.
That's correct. You don't have to vote in favor of the motion.
So I am not a discussion. I want to discuss.
I understand.
So what I'm saying is, like, 13's arbitrary. It could be 50.
That's why I asked how many people are on the wait list.
Right, and I guess I'm agreeing to disagree. I don't think that 12 is arbitrary because 12 is a real number of offers that were made. It wasn't 13, it wasn't 15. 12.
But presumably it would become that, because if 80% fill.
That's correct, but that's not what the motion is.
I know, I'm not. I know that.
I'm just saying that. So I'm not sure what I'm missing the point. Forgive me.
Okay. You're forgiven.
I'm sorry. What's the penalty for this?
$250 late fee.
Sorry,
$250 late fee. And
I guess in my opinion, to me, that we should evaluate whether we accept or reject, not manipulate the rules. I think that opens a lot of potential future issues. It's not our job to manipulate the rules and favor one person over another. Our job is to follow the rules.
That's the point I was trying to make. Why is 13 the end of the line?
And I'm all for everyone enjoying the vote slips, please.
Why are you arguing?
But we have rules.
Because I don't think 12 is arbitrary because there's 150 on there. But there's...
That's my point.
I know.
But getting back to my point,
Okay.
Justin, I think he has a rhyme of reason to how he's doing this.
Yeah.
I don't think it's our purview to question.
Right.
Question.
Okay.
So
So
who's questioning it though? I don't know.
let's let David return and then we'll vote on this.
I'm glad you take the mic in.
Right. All right. We're going to vote, David.
Oh, go.
Okay. So, just to go back, everyone is aware of the motion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Okay. All those in favor?
I'm sorry, to approve.
The motion.
Let's read it again. Yeah, let's read it one more
time. I couldn't do it.
Well, you heard the motion before you went to the bathroom. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Dylan O'Connor made a motion to approve Mrs. Conroy's appeal, but if the remaining of the 12 offers that are out there, if all come back accepting, then she would have to go to the very end of the wait list.
All those in favor of approving the motion on the table? All those opposed?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Okay.
So, Dylan, Bill, all right, so.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Can we set, like, some sort of parameter so we don't have to deal with this stuff anymore? Like, I totally understand that we have to, we have to draw the line, but, like, what is that? I think we just need to figure that out as a commission.
So
We have.
this is, that is why they had the subcommittee several years ago that went through the rules again and basically came up with Justin's position is going to send out X amount of emails, these phone calls, these letters, and that is it. Anybody that misses the February 15th deadline, which is February 15th every year,
22nd.
Okay, whatever the mid-February date is you miss it, you're out.
But you get an appeal.
And you get your appeal, but it's going to be denied. That is how it was supposed to go. And there's been some deviance from that, from the time that was set up.
Well, we've gone from 60 down to 2.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So it's working.
Yeah.
No, but
There's less dog.
the point Anthony's making, which I agree with what both you're saying is this is a big frustration for me, period. I think there's a lack of consistency in decision making because I think certainly last year we accepted 2 appeals, and this year I think we accepted at least 1.
What?
And I'm not sure those are incredibly extenuating circumstances.
But I get I used to have a Yahoo address, and if when I signed up I used that one, I wouldn't see those emails.
Okay.
So I empathize with that.
We're going to conclude with Ms. Conroy, then we can discuss more. Ms. Conroy, I'm sorry that your appeal has not been approved.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There was no reason why she needed to stay out. I just wanted to conclude that, but sorry, I cut you off, so you were saying? I lost my train of thought. But, and back to what I was saying earlier, and we're probably the 3 laws. We've been through this many, many times with significantly greater numbers. And we have really worked hard to, get Justin into a position where we've eliminated the majority of these. Mm-hmm. It used to be, there was an email that was sent out, and that was basically it. And now there are, Justin, 3 emails sent out, and there's a robocall, and there's a text message, and everyone knows that it's the middle of February.
Yeah, but I totally agree with you. Most of us.
Yeah, just to jump in really fast. It's 5 contacts.
I understand the email piece of it,
but at what point how many emails, text messages, and robocalls are enough for us? Because we at some point have to say, look, you're on the wait list for 8 years. I don't want to continue to pick on her, but these are the most recent numbers. You're in the slip for 5 or 6 years. How long? How many times do we have to notify you that it's due? We've modified the rules. It used to be that we had issues because sometimes people shrink wrap their boat during off season. A lot of them had the insurance in the shrink wrap, and we've been making accommodations to make it easier from that perspective as well. So we're really, really working hard to make it easier and more transparent as to what the rules are.
Yeah, I mean, that's 14 years of her wait list and being a member of the marina and then just blowing us off for 3 months. Like, just, it's not a big deal. Like, that's 3 months worth of just not getting your stuff in. It's almost June. Like, you don't forget.
And I don't know if you guys read, but she came into the office on March 23rd, and I'm not going to focus on certain words because in passing she asked to leave. So regardless, she asked the person in the office about it. Then she came back on 25th to renew the slip, but she didn't have any of her documentation. So she missed it, came back, and still didn't have any of the documentation. But, so I'm saying, at what point does it no longer become our responsibility?
Right, and failed to show up at a meeting last month.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Well, didn't pass.
There's 175 people that do their work.
And number 13 is grateful. There's one of the 12 that doesn't.
It's me.
Congratulations.
That's not true.
If it is, it ain't anymore. All right. Okay, so Board of Education report.
So, plenty is going on, not as much, I think, pertinent to this commission. We are in the process. We are about to get the district improvement plan, the full content, which we are supposed to be voting on. I'm not positive we're going to be ready to do that by June 28th, but that's the current plan. And so it's one thing that we had been asking about was a facilities component to the district improvement plan, and it was ultimately decided to not wrap it up in that because we have this new facilities commission, and to really just entrust that that's where the board focus is. That's not quite the same as the staff focus. And so the Facilities Commission did meet today. Unfortunately, my faculty meeting ran long, so I was not able to listen in. The report I got from them is that one of the things that they were talking about was the Fairfield-Ludlow concession stand, that they're trying to see if they're going to be able to move forward with that or not, because I'm sure this is something I feel like we've approved this thing multiple times, and because of budget freezes, one budget freeze that got held, then we approved it again, and right now apparently the cost of materials is going absolutely through the roof, so there are some questions about getting that done. They're looking also at possibly adding some shielding under some of the bleachers at Fairfield-Ludlow to better store equipment. I don't know if that's anything that ever affects camps or anything like that, or if that's really just high school equipment. But other than that, the only other thing I'd say, May 24th, is we're having student recognitions, and we have so many athletes and student athletes recognized for their athletics as well as their academics, that we've carved out a whole special meeting for that on May 24th to recognize all these students. So that's pretty exciting. And again, I think I mentioned this last meeting that the work of the Facilities Commission is not only to address things like athletics, but we did just get some harsh words from the state regarding our racial imbalance plan and redistricting. So that remains very much on the front burner and work that we are going to have to be addressing perhaps sooner rather than later. So,
what is the Fairfield-Ludlow concession stand issue?
I know they were talking about it today. So I sent a quick text to Nick to get the update on what had happened, and so that's what he had said that they were discussing. Are they going to be able to fit that in and get that done?
But do they have to rebuild it?
Go ahead. You probably remember better than I do.
They're trying to add a spot for the football team, essentially a spot where they can go during halftime and pregame and stuff. Because right now they go across the parking lot into the woodworking shop, I believe.
Yeah, they're talking about saws.
So yeah, it's not an ideal situation for them to go for halftime and stuff like that. So that's what they were looking to upgrade.
Enlarging that with the
second floor.
It was the second floor. So they do have a second floor in there now. I think it was just a matter of enhancing it and making it suitable for students to be in there. At least that's my understanding.
That's my memory as well. So,
do you have a committee addressing racial imbalance, or is just...
We do not have a committee. What it is, with the Facilities Committee, we're looking at issues district-wide in terms of overutilized, underutilized buildings. It's something that if there were no racial imbalance plan, that is something that we need to be looking at in conjunction with buildings that are in disrepair and things that we're having to address. So the Facilities Commission was going to exist regardless, but given the hand slapping we got a few weeks ago, it's kind of re-energized our focus in terms of now we're being told you must give us a plan with a definitive date by when Fairfield will be compliant.
It's difficult to come up with a plan if you're dealing with 9 members, and I mean...
Well, Well, the difficulty more,
It's
we were
McKinley, right?
we were in the we were in the process of starting to tackle it February, March 2020. That got effectively completely derailed. So now we're trying to get back on, but we're trying to do it thoughtfully, carefully, district-wide, pre-K through 12, and now we're being told, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, which is not a way that we want to approach this at all. So it's going to be some interesting work.
Now, has that ever, does that affect the middle schools and the high schools at all?
Well, it does, because if you start moving students among the elementary schools, that can affect feeder patterns.
Yeah.
And I think the general will of the board is that if we're going to do this, let's take a systemic look at the whole plan.
What is it on the line? Like, is it
can withhold
money?
funding.
How much money?
Apparently, we keep asking that,
give
and
more money out to Hartford. I mean, what if it was just a big...
getting reimbursed for buildings or any projects, but...
That's what we used to be told,
is
that whether implicitly or explicitly, the buildings especially where they could hit us, we have since gotten at least one definitive opinion that can't happen. But more to the point, one of the things that I asked of the last billing is, can we please go to the town attorney? Can we please go to the board attorney and get definitive feedback, which I'm hoping we get at our next meeting?
What about on the federal level, like in terms of, is this legal?
That's what I asked for.
I sat on the commission 10 years ago.
2 years, I was on right?
For 10 years ago.
3 board of ed members here.
And we're still here 10 years later.
I mean, I'm saying if you go through the feds,
it goes way back to 2020.
Where no one at a federal level want to interfere with this is the words they start using now: associate, support, separate but equal. Right. I.e., we're 1898 Plessy versus Ferguson. We're not 1954 Brown versus Board of Education. You're that town that's going to support that. So no one federal is going to touch this.
It's the will of the people, like, right? I mean, McKinley,
It's the will of the housing rules of Fairfield, which has created this, which is nothing the schools can do. Schools are being asked to address a zoning and housing issue in the town, because that is what's creating the populations where they are. The state has no interest in hearing any of that. I think I can say that as a statement of fact. There is a state statute that requires that we have a plan to address this. And ultimately, the one thing people have said is that they could step in and do it for us, which obviously we would strenuously resist. But ultimately, I would like to get definitive statements from attorneys. Do we have to come? In what manner? I'm well aware this is a public meeting. So simply looking for a legal statement, a legal opinion about precisely what the Board of Education, is there an out? Because if there isn't, I think the public needs to know that. Because exactly what you're thinking is exactly what the public wants.
Jump above Hartford. I mean, that seems like a logical step.
Hartford has no interest in taking this on because this affects so few towns in the state of Connecticut.
Does it affect Greenwich?
Yes, it does.
They're comparable in size to us.
Well, Greenwich has slapped a magnet program in there, and that is how they're trying to get around it.
And that was one of the options we had on the table.
Which costs a lot of money.
And West Hartford is about the same size. Like, those are 3 towns that are about 65,000 people, and predominantly, underrepresented.
Right now, I believe there are 3 labeled as being racially imbalanced, which means, again, there is no mood in the state to say we're okay with you having a segregated school. That's what the headline would be. So there's no temper or mood to change what we know to be something where we believe that we are serving our students extremely well.
No, it's unfortunate that the state has to use that terminology.
Yeah.
Which we all know.
Which they did at the last meeting.
Harking back to 1970s Boston.
Yeah. So, but in any case, so that's part of what's going on.
Great.
And I did want to add, I did follow up regarding Parks and Rec Commission. I followed up a little bit late, but I did follow up with the idea of there being a liaison. The chair of the Facilities Committee and I'll just use Dylan as my hypothetical stand-in for the possible liaison, offered to have it set as a standing issue that he would always forward the agenda to you, so that you would be aware of what's on the agenda, so that if you ever want to, if you saw something on there because there will be times where it might not be of any interest to the commission and the hypothetical stand-in, there might not be anything on the agenda that's of interest, but this way you would regularly receive it, so you could kind of make that determination and then, report as well. Because I never can go because it's always at 3:30 in the afternoon and I'm teaching.
But you would not be at the table.
Right.
You would not be at the table. That said, these are relatively loose. They're not like our formal Board of Ed meetings, and they don't hold for a certain public comment. If there was something on there and that's what you wanted to speak to, they would let you jump in.
I've been in a couple of those meetings.
Okay.
Who's
So,
the chairman now?
of the board or the facilities commission?
Facilities.
Nick Asa is the chair of the facilities subcommittee.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, Director and Program Reports.
All right, so I didn't write anything because I think we had our last meeting about 2 weeks ago. But program-wise, not much has changed as far as we're still in the middle of spring programming. You guys should start seeing some improvements with our fields, as I had mentioned, and just island areas around town. We're in full swing as far as our mowing and maintenance programs go. Tree of Hope, since Bridget's not here, I'll just mention that this month it's lit up for diabetes. So they've got their colors on the tree. It looks nice. We did a nice post for them today. It is Public Works, National Public Works Week, so we've been trying to highlight our guys doing some work around town. Gearing up for the Memorial Day Parade and all the other festivities. I believe flags are going out on Post Road tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. Construction projects that we are currently working on, we're finishing up our ARPA funding projects with our playgrounds. Tungus Hill was the last of our 8 playgrounds to be installed. I believe they were just finishing up on the mulch today, so we'll be all done with our playground, so that is wonderful. We got our RFP back for design services on the turf field for Ludlow Middle School, which the RTM will vote for final approval, final funding on Monday. Dwight Tennis Court, again, part of that same RFP. Tungus Pickleball, same RFP. Fairfield Woods Tennis, same one. And then in anticipation of Sullivan Field and South Pine Turf, all part of the same design services. So we're just trying to get ahead of the next 2 years' worth of projects, basically. Gould Manor is fully open. At this point, we do have some perimeter fencing that still needs to be done. Sidewalks, road was being paved, I believe, this week. Sidewalks will be right after that. But then we will do a formal opening day / ribbon cutting there, probably the first or second week of June. So I'll keep you guys all posted on that date. If you guys can make it, it'll probably be late afternoon when there's some baseball going on the field. So got people in the park. But yeah, that's kind of where beaches are. We're getting ready with the beaches too. I was at Penfield today, and we had to regroom and try to level some sand. We had some really big tides, high tides that washed a lot of that sand out. And I should also mention that Lake Mohegan will be open for Labor Day, for Memorial Day. The splash pad's fenced off. That project is going to start, but it will not finish probably until late July, early August. So we'll be without a splash pad. So what we did is we just reduced we cut the prices in half for season passes up there. People can still swim. The concession will be open. Lifeguards will obviously be there. Playground, pavilion's still there, but the splash pad will be off limits while they're working on it. Questions?
Yeah, I had someone ask me about what's the plan for the basketball court at Palomar.
We're gonna have to get that on the maintenance schedule at some point. I do know
Is it a full?
It's not terrible. It is a full court that's there now.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of waiting for the master plan to come back and see what their ideas are for Palomar Park, Highwood Park, and
so
see if it is keeping that basketball court where it is. If it's moving it to somewhere else.
Any upkeep in between?
No, I definitely wouldn't resurface it.
Okay.
Before knowing whether we're moving it or
You guys add
removing
nets
it.
and all that. There are a million questions.
We normally do maintain the net. We had a basketball program going on there recently, so I think I would have heard if there weren't nets, but you never know.
So status quo until we get the master plan.
Correct. And master plan, we've got I think an update tomorrow from our vendor, but I think they're looking probably to present somewhere in the summer. July is kind of what everything's looking at right now.
Thank you.
Any forecasting at red flags from perspective of increasing cost of goods that might delay projects?
Yeah, we're getting hit with all of them right now. Fencing seems to be the biggest hang-up we have, which is why the Gould fencing hasn't been replaced yet. Turf field, we may get hit from talking to our vendor this afternoon. The vendor we've been talking to, I don't know that they're even going to bid, but the vendor we've been talking to, you basically said that turf projects, the materials are fairly readily available, so they haven't been concerned about it. Okay. Not for turf anyway. Other things we're hitting issues with.
Three questions. Get to you 1 second. Did we, last month, the Russo and Rizzio request was withdrawn last minute?
Didn't hear back from them.
Okay. Second question, there was a little bit of flack that we got on the cage by the softball, the pitching, hitting cage. Have we heard anything more from the...
I think that one is, I think they're okay with the way it all turned out, and that the little part of the hill, that the brush that they cut out was...
Yeah, but then they graded it down.
Graded and seeded, and it looks nice, yeah. So no, just positive comments, and I haven't had any positive comments from the neighbors, but I haven't had any negative ones either. We've had plenty of positives from everybody else.
Ranked number one in the state.
Exactly.
So, going forward on your printed director's report, you'll include the benches, whatever benches
I will,
are
yes.
approved?
Okay.
Yes. All right, thank you. Any other questions? I'm going
to leave before Betsy starts talking.
I'm not sure what the protocol is. Is it okay if I ask one or two?
No, you may. We just, just name and address for the record.
Betsy Hughes, 37 Pratt Street. As far as I know, the restrooms at Tungus Hill have been closed. Are those going to be reopened? Or
they should be open. They should be open. I'm not sure why we keep having the same issue.
Okay.
I was there about 2 weeks ago, and I talked with the group that was playing, and they brought it up to me too, and I was like, no, they're open. And I walked down there to prove they were open, and they were locked.
Okay.
So I called our maintenance supervisor and asked him why they were locked, and he said, no, they should be open.
Okay.
So I'll follow up with James and find out.
Next time I'm over there, I'll go to check. And any update on when our Tungus Hill courts are going to be redone?
So the RFP for the design came back today. So I will probably select that design firm and award it next week.
Okay.
From there, we're probably, I would say, 2 to 3 months out. So it's probably going to be the dead middle of the summer. But I'm not going to, if the construction company is ready to go. But I can't. If they're ready to go, I'm not going to slow them down and say, hey, come back.
No. We want them as...
Yeah. And it's only about a 4-week project once they start.
I mean, last year we had 4 courts there. We're down to 2.
Yep.
And we're just dying for them. That's all.
I
have a portable net system that we had at Bigelow. I'm willing to put it... I don't think it will walk off. I think pickleball people are there enough of the time, and I'm willing to put it down there. At least it will give us 3 courts if that meets your approval or interest.
We could talk about that one.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't need these guys for that. But
It gives you a third court.
it would. And so the issue we have is one of our courts, the court closest to the wood line, had roots growing underneath it, and it buckled the court. So we had to take that one offline. The third court, the poles for the netting started to bend in. So they need to be completely reset, but we need to redo the entire court for that court one anyway. And it's at the point where the court's about 12 years old, not for pickleball, but from when it was a tennis court and it was redundant. They're at that point where it's asphalt and they need to be ground up and literally redone. So we do have to we knew we had to redo them, so we're trying to get it done as quickly as we can, unfortunately. It's the government. They're turning. The wheels are turning slowly.
Yeah, that's what people will, just knowing that that's happening will be great.
All right. Thank you very much. If there's nothing else.
So I'll just be very, very quick. AED subcommittee.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I did more dramatic. We have approved a summary report of basically our meetings to date. Our plan is for our June meeting to pass what will be initial recommendations. Once we do that, we're going to have a 60-day sort of public comment period, if you will, based off of those recommendations. I think I'm happy that at our next meeting just to share the actual paperwork that's going on with it. But then the idea is after public comment period, we'll reassess those recommendations based off of whatever input or better ideas come in, and we'll finalize it.
I'm trying to keep his name, Andrew, I believe.
Yeah, sends every meeting.
Okay, great.
Also,
he
Deputy Chief Dunn, outstanding resource, been at every meeting. We've actually picked up a few other AED basketball coach and prep experts.
Really?
So, yeah, we got Red Cross. We got a coalition.
Nice.
And the swim director, right?
Better attended than these meetings.
I just got new pads for my AED.
Oh yeah, you were talking. Yeah, you
I
remember
ordered
you
them,
said
they
you had
just
to
came.
get in. Were they working prior or?
Yeah, it was, but I
AED?
figured it's been 5+ years.
There you go. Like you're patient zero.
All right. Well, then, if there's nothing else, we can talk about this.
Motion to adjourn?
We are adjourned.